We're back. Hydro and Co. Welcome back to the show. Week one of the NFL season has been completed. A lot of, let's say, interesting outcomes. A lot of teams played not ideal. Some teams played better than advertised. Some teams' season is already over after 1 week at the New York Jets. But we're going to recap all things week one. We have our weekly power rankings, obviously. And we will also be talking about Thursday night's game and all the games this week. So I guess we can go ahead and get started with the recap. For some of these games, we just have written recaps that we'll go through, and the guys, if they want to add anything at the end, they can. Or if the game's not worth anything, we'll just burn it and move on. So, moving forward, first game of the slate is Bengals Browns. Browns 23, Bengals 3. Joe Burrow struggled heavily in this game. Browns defense played very solid. But the Browns, on the flip side, relied a lot on Nick Chubb. 18 carries for 106 yards, while Deshaun Watson had a pretty mediocre game, to say the least. 154 yards, TD, a pick, and barely passed over 50%. So, with this game being over, do you guys have anything that you want to add on to that? Do you see what did you see from this game? Do you see one of these teams being the division favorite? Obviously, we'll talk about the Ravens in a little bit. But what do we think after this game?
The Bengals always seem to start slow. We were saying that during the games whenever they were going on Sunday. So not worried. They did the same thing last year. If people remember, they started like 0-2 or 0-3. They turned out to be just fine. They're just a team that just starts slow for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think out of our little pick 'em pool that we have amongst our friend group, I was the only person that picked the Browns to win because the Bengals do start slow, and it's always fun to kind of see if they do like pick it up or if this is just who they are. I don't think this is who they are, but we'll see. I do think the Browns will be a better team than most people thought going into the season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them with Deshaun Watson.
All right, moving on. We had the Ravens win against the Texans 25-9. Big takeaways from this game is C.J. Stroud got used a lot. He had over 40 passing attempts in his first game, 242 yards in the air, but did not score in the end zone. Texas' running game was pretty shit. Ravens managed 3 rushing touchdowns. 2 of them came after J.K. Dobbins fell down with a season-ending Achilles injury, much like Aaron Rodgers. Lamar Jackson did not find the end zone in the air or the ground, but had a really good connection with Zay Flowers for 9 receptions and 78 yards. So the rookie receiver is looking to be as advertised.
Yeah, Zay Flowers was he was definitely the bright spot with no Mark Andrews, and I know that the Texans are pretty bad, but Lamar had a pick and a fumble in that game, and it was never in jeopardy of them winning or not. The Texans, for the most part, when it mattered, like in the red zone, they couldn't stop the run. Felt like every time I flipped to that game, the Ravens were in the red zone, and they was just hand off, like 3 or 4 pop, and they would just run it in with Justice Hill. So, yeah, the Ravens just took care of business without their best weapon on offense, to be honest, and Zay Flowers looks like a good complement to Mark Andrews.
Yeah, this game, I feel bad for J.K. Dobbins just because it seems like he's always going through something injury-wise. I mean, last year he came back and looked like he was just dragging his leg as he ran. And, of course, this year, another Achilles injury. On the flip side, I do think this Texans team will have, like, some juice going forward because I believe in DeMeco Ryans. I feel like when he played for the Eagles at one point. I feel like he was like a coach on the field because he was middle linebacker. So I feel like he has a way to connect with the players, and I feel like he'll lead them. And I feel like his coaching will win them some games that they probably shouldn't win. But, it's the Texans.
All right. So moving on to another game that was a pretty close one. Bucks and Vikings. Bucks take it away 20-17. Baker Mayfield starts with a W for his first career start in Tampa Bay. Godwin and Evans continue to thrive, even though there have been questions about Baker Mayfield's ability as a passer. Evans got in the end zone. Godwin had one of the ceiling catches late in the game to seal the game for Tampa Bay. Real questions really came from Kirk Cousins, late game pick that really overshadowed his performance specifically. He had 344 passing yards, and Jay Jettis had 150 yards receiving, and they still lost. I will say Alexander Mattison did not look very good, averaged less than 4 yards a carry in the loss to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I didn't. This is one of the games that I had to sacrifice, so I didn't watch any of this one. But just from looking at the box score, it looks like neither team could get the running game going. The Vikings averaged 2.4 carry, and the Bucks averaged 2.2, which we knew the Bucks. They've struggled running the ball for years. That line is slightly better at. I'm not even gonna say that's a good O line anymore, but they're better at pass blocking than run blocking. But the Vikings only averaging 2.4 kind of surprised me. Yeah, Justin Jefferson did his thing.
In the first half.
In the first half, I did see that in fantasy. By the way, I didn't hear much from him in the second half. But yeah, Baker gets his first win as his first game as a Buck.
It was. I didn't really watch this game too much, and I had Red Zone on anyway. But at halftime, I drove to my mom's house because she was going to cook us some food, and you can't say no to mom. But I will say this. Baker had like some juice. There were some times he would take off using his legs, and he would try to throw a stiff arm, and he'd get up, talk shit, and it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch. He better not do that, next Monday when we play them. But it's fun to watch. And this Vikings team might be ass. They might be really bad. And something to look out for throughout the year is Justin Jefferson's not very happy because I think he got 2 catches in the second half. So be on the lookout for Justin Jefferson meltdown and Kirk Cousins on the opposite end of that meltdown.
And also one more thing, specifically me and Chase on this show, very critical of the Vikings and the Giants specifically in the NFC last year. We thought that they were overrated teams. Thought they were just having like a fluky year, having a lot of close
overachievers.
Yeah,
hey, they were my overrated pick for the NFC this year, so don't exclude me.
I was just talking about last year because I remember on this pod me and Chase were giving them hell, but so far through one game, it seems to be correct.
And let me just preface with this too. I think the lack of playing in the preseason leads to a lot of these performances. Because a lot of these guys haven't played a meaningful snap since January of last year, or since January. So I feel like that week 1 is even less important now with the preseason being structured the way it is. But it's always fun to pull things away from week 1 and watch them flip on their head come week 2.
To piggyback off that, I do think that more teams will start utilizing the preseason again because Nick Sirianni said it. He said he regrets not playing them in the preseason. And I believe I saw something that a lot of teams with quarterbacks that didn't play a lot in the preseason were bad, and then the teams that were playing in the preseason had like better stats. So the Steelers got their ass whooped, but yeah, I bet they start utilizing preseason a little bit more.
All right, moving on to the next game. This game's a pretty underwhelming game. Falcons-Panthers. Falcons won 24-10. We had 2 young, unproven quarterbacks entering the game, and honestly, after this game, there were really no answers from either side. Bryce Young struggled with 2 interceptions, and his completion percentage was right over 50% for the game, while Desmond Ridder was carried by a very strong performance from both Ty Algier and Bijan Robinson, who accounted for 21 of the Falcons' 24 points. Now, Bijan's was a receiving touchdown, but let's be real, Bijan accounted for that score. He made that score happen. Ridder did not do shit except for get him the ball. Ridder was actually very accurate, throwing 15 for 18, but he threw for less than 120 yards. So he was throwing really short things in front of the sticks, and that's not going to bode long-term success for this team. You got to be able to stretch the ball down the field at times, especially when you're running as much as you are. Arthur Smith being a very big play-action guy, with Tannehill being able to air the ball out in those early years in Tennessee. Ridder is yet to prove to do that. So that is that game, and the Falcons are 1-0.
Yeah, rough NFL debut for Bryce Young. He completed just over half of his passes, 2 picks, a QBR 14.5. So
Jesus.
not a good first game showing for Bryce Young. Kind of like you said, the Falcons side of things. You know, you got Bijan, you got Gallagher. They seem to be a pretty good 1-2 punch, running and catching the ball. But if this team's going to do anything, even in that weak division, then Ritter has got to push the ball down the field, especially to Chase's main man, Kyle Pitts, more than 2 times.
Has to for fantasy purposes only. I think Bryce Young will be good. I think that he is not like well equipped with weapons. I know they got Miles Sanders, who Eagles fans, we call him overrated because he is kind of overrated to us. And then he disappears when the moment's pretty big. He has
played terrible though.
Miles Sanders.
He had like 86 yards on the ground. I mean, they were losing too. So
yeah, he had 72 yards on 18 carries that's 4. But I mean, he's not as good as like I guess some of the media like says he is. As far as like weapons, I mean, who does he really have? He has Hayden Hurst, and in my opinion, that's it because Adam Thielen is cooked.
Who's the other guy that was out hurt? They had a receiver out hurt.
It was a DJ Chark.
DJ Chark was out for. Yep.
So
I'm not saying he's great, but that's just one less receiver he had.
Yeah.
I know they're trying to get a lot out of that rookie Mingo too.
Yeah, but like it won't happen this year. I do think he'll be good though. As far as this quarterback class, he'll be the best. And then on the flip side, Bijan looked great in the open field. If you're a Falcons fan, you got to be excited to see him get more touches throughout the year. But you also got a nice 1-2 combo. Desmond Ritter didn't have like this super like great performance, but he was solid. He was a game manager. So that's about all you can ask from him. But at the end of the day, Falcons got the win. They're 1-0 moving on the next week.
All right. So moving on from that game, we got Cardinals and the Commanders. Commanders win 20-16. For a team projected to go 0-17 this year, from a lot of people, the Cardinals proved that any given week in the NFL, right? They played a solid game. Josh Dobbs didn't impress very much, but he didn't disappoint. He didn't throw a touchdown, but he didn't throw a pick, which says a lot about this Commanders defense. They did get 3 sacks, 1.5 for Montez Sweat, but they didn't force a single turnover against Josh Dobbs. I feel like a defense that is expected to be as good as the Commanders' defense needs to force a turnover in this game. Didn't really matter, though. Sam Howell managed to find Brian Robinson for his only passing touchdown, rushed for another, and they were able to pull it out 20-16.
I didn't watch this game for obvious reasons. These are supposed to be 2 of the worst teams in the league, but yeah, the Commanders are 1-0. I guess they're going to the Super Bowl after 1 week. But I fully expect the Cardinals to still be pretty rough this season. So I don't have a whole lot to take away from this game.
Yeah. For Wesley specifically, I don't see how you can walk out of this game feeling good. I feel like Sam Howell didn't do anything to inspire a lot of confidence. I feel like neither did the defense, because at the end of the day, Josh Dobbs didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything great, but he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't force them to make a bad play. I mean, the Commanders almost ruined the Cardinals' tank. Week 1,
Yeah.
Cardinals get a win, tank's over. They're going Super Bowl bound. So
If Dobbs plays like this for 17 games, they might win 4 or 5.
I mean, yeah, I mean it was 21 for 30 for 132, so like that's like 4 yards per completion, so that's not great. But I mean,
you need a lot out of Connor to win games, but if he's not throwing picks, like they're gonna have opportunities to win.
Absolutely, and I think this says a lot about the Commanders. Obviously, you don't put too much weight in it because it's week 1, but I feel like the Commanders could be an overhyped team, but
Dobbs did fumble twice, by the way. He lost 2 fumbles.
Okay.
fuck him. He sucks.
He's ass.
It was the center's fault.
Yeah.
I didn't see the play. I don't know what happened.
He fumbled 3 times, by the way. I don't know if you say 3 times?
Oh, yeah, he did
He
fumble.
fumbled 3 times.
lost
He's
two.
ass.
He didn't
He
throw a
lost 2
pick
of them.
though.
So he fumbled 3 times, and the Commanders only won by 4. That team's ass.
All right. So moving on. Jags Colts. Jags win 31-21. Biggest takeaway from this game is Calvin Ridley coming off his last year being suspended, and then decides to come back up with 8 receptions for 100 yards and a touchdown. Zay Jones also caught a touchdown. Both Jaguar running backs, Travis Etienne and Tanks Bigsby, found the end zone. And the Colts did show some flashes. Anthony Richardson found Michael Pittman for 8 receptions for 97 yards. He also led the team in rushing, which is, in my opinion, problematic. Hopefully Taylor does come back, off pup and is able to kind of take some of those carries. But Richardson did lead the team in rushing and ended up getting hurt during the game. He should be fine. It's not a long-term injury, but it does show like now there's going to be this narrative of if they continue to overuse him, is this going to progress into something more serious later down the road? Because not only did he lead the team in rushing, so he was getting hit that way, but Josh Allen also sacked him 3 times en route to a Jaguars victory. So, a lot of potential. I think he was the best rookie quarterback this week. And
Super high bar right there. Super high.
And, not very high. But ultimately, I think that this team without a competent running back is going to be problematic for Anthony Richardson moving forward.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley is back. He did not lose a step. He is still Calvin Ridley. Him and T-Law were hooking up early and often. And even though it wasn't a spectacular game from Trevor Lawrence, I don't feel any different than my bold prediction of picking him to win MVP. This game went about how I expected, maybe a little less points from the Colts, but I just expect the Jags to – I think they have a great offense, especially with Doug Peterson calling plays, and the Colts took advantage of their weak defense. That's the Jags' weakness. So I see the Jags winning a lot of games like this, like scoring 30 or more. So my opinion on the T-Law MVP has not changed.
Yeah, I don't really watch a lot of AFC football. But I will say this. Trevor Lawrence had a bad game. And they still won against a division opponent. So you take that, you walk away feeling good. Calvin Ridley looked good. And you got Calvin Ridley, Travis Etienne, and then Trevor Lawrence. So that's a solid trio right there for an offense. Will definitely win you a few ball games by themselves. Colts stink, and I think when Jonathan Taylor gets back, they'll still stink.
All right. Moving forward, next game on the slate, we had the 49ers beating the Steelers 30-7. Brock Purdy again proved that he is the quarterback that can lead the 49ers offense to victory by just managing the game and not turning the ball over. Super accurate. Finding Brandon Ayuk for 2 touchdowns, 129 yards on 8 receptions. Christian McCaffrey was also very impressive, going for 152 yards and a touchdown just on the ground. He really didn't do much in the air. He didn't catch a whole lot of balls just because he was getting used so much in the ground game. And, y'all will probably talk about here in a minute about how that could be an issue given his injury history. Steelers offense really struggled. Kenny Pickett was sacked 5 times and threw 2 picks. That's never going to end well. Really good defensive showing by the Niners. A lot of people are calling, one of the best defenses in the league. Obviously, a lot of people are saying the Cowboys too, but everyone's giving this team the Super Bowl right now after 1 week. But adding insult to injury to the Steelers, Deontay Johnson is now going to miss multiple weeks with a hamstring injury following this loss. So, coming off this game, what were some takeaways from it?
Considering the 49ers jumped out early to a 3-score lead, I do think that they overused McCaffrey. I don't think there's any reason for him to run the ball 22 times and have 3 catches, so 25 touches. I I didn't see a point in that because they were up by a lot the whole game, and the Steelers were not moving the ball. I feel like every time I flipped to that game, the 49ers were on offense because the Steelers wouldn't do nothing. So they gotta Kyle Shanahan has to realize that, bring McCaffrey's workload up or down depending on how the game's going and if he's going to make it a full 17. But yeah, Steelers, they look good in the preseason. They're the preseason MVPs, and they come out and lay an egg to start the year.
Yeah, this 49ers team is going to be a threat unless Christian McCaffrey goes down. I think if Christian McCaffrey goes down, this team will be, I feel like, pretty mediocre. Offensively, at least. Defense, they'll always be solid just because you look at who they have. But, you know, their season's just going to rely on Christian McCaffrey staying healthy. And like you said, they probably overuse him, especially being up so much. Throw Elijah Mitchell out there some more. Let him get some more touches. You know, get his trade value up or something. Don't just add wear and tear to Christian McCaffrey. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how they manage him throughout the year, especially if they do get up early on some teams. Yeah.
All right. Moving forward, we got the Rams and the Seahawks game. The Rams won 30-13. They played upset in this game behind surprising performances from Kyron Williams and Tutu Atwell, while Matthew Stafford threw for 334 yards. So I don't think a lot of people predicted that coming into this game. Cam Akers also got in the end zone. And the Seahawks, who were the number one offense in the NFL last year, struggled to do just about anything. They only scored 13 points. Geno disappointed, going for 16 for 26 with 112. Tyler Lockett was 2 receptions for 10 yards. DK did get in the end zone, but the two rookies that everyone was hyped about, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Zach Charbonnet, were both pretty much ineffective. And the Seahawks defense did not sack Matthew Stafford once. You're just going to allow a guy like that to sit in the pocket and slice you and dice you all game. This is the result you're going to get. So, thoughts?
Yeah, I thought Stafford looked great. Honestly, he didn't get in the end zone, but he threw for 334 without Cooper Kupp. And I said last week when we were picking games that I thought of picking the Rams to be an upset here, just to pick another upset. And obviously, I wish I would have now. Puka Nacua will be on my fantasy team next week since I have the number one waiver claim. 15 targets from Matthew Stafford. So apparently Matthew Stafford just likes and trusts slot white receivers. So
he's giving them every Cooper Kupp touch and then some.
So Puka Nacua stepped right into that role, and it literally looked like Cooper Kupp. So he's coming home to me, and hopefully he can keep doing this because he'll go in my starting lineup.
You picked him up?
I got number one waiver claim. That's who I claimed.
That sucks. I don't know who I'm going to pick up. I'm going to keep this short. Both these teams are ass, so we'll move on.
All right. Final game that I have something written for, and arguably the number one game of the week, Dolphins-Chargers. Dolphins win 36-34. Pretty much an offensive masterclass from both teams. They combined for 70 total points and had 11 lead changes. Tua and Tyreek did not miss a beat, going for 466 yards and 3 touchdowns for Mr. Tua. And Tyreek had 11 receptions for 215 yards and 2 tutties. Chargers did their scoring on the ground. They ran for over 200 yards as a team. But it wasn't enough. Late Tyreek Hill touchdown was the sign factor, but the Dolphins ahead. And they come out with the win, 36-34.
Yeah, this was by far the best game of week one. And I'm glad that I suggested that to our Power 6 last week. Yeah, let's just go ahead and hand Tua the MVP right now. He's going to keep throwing 460 yards per game. He's going to break the all-time record in passing yards per season.
Well, he's on pace for like 7,200 yards?
So, yeah, something ridiculous. But I do think the Dolphins are, if you look at last year, the games they had Tua, I don't think Tua is an amazing quarterback. But it's just something about him being out there on the field. The players around him just rally to him.
He's just accurate. I mean, he puts the ball in playmakers' hands and lets them go to work.
I think that gets a little overhyped because they try to. That people say he has a noodle arm, which is true. So they try to say like, oh, he's really accurate. I don't think he's any more accurate than some of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL at all. So yeah, the team just rallies around him. He must have good leadership or something, or they love him. And I think as long as he can stay on the field, the Dolphins are going to be a legit contender in the AFC.
Yeah, no defense was played at all this game.
Just
Fun fact.
surprising, honestly.
Yeah,
Both defenses are supposed to be decent.
yeah, I have the Dolphins defense in fantasy, so got some negative points there. It wouldn't have helped out anyway. It doesn't matter. But these two teams are solid offensively, and they're going to have a lot of games where it's just shootout. So it'll be fun to watch if your team's not playing or you just need a game to watch. And one of these two teams are on, you can tune in because you'll see a lot of offense up until December or January when it gets cold. Then the Dolphins always slow down. But a couple last words. Justin Herbert is overrated. I don't know why Chargers fans. What's the word I'm looking for? Trying to be respectful. I don't know why they.
Salivate.
Yeah, that one. Over him because he hasn't accomplished anything. And you can send me on Twitter all his little accomplishments that you think is cool. It's not cool because he hasn't done anything at all. He sucks, in my opinion, to be honest with you. He has all this talent, but he can't lead a team past, the first round in the playoffs.
If
So,
they
yeah.
make it.
Yeah, fuck Justin Herbert and fuck the Chargers. This is what the Twitter world has done to me because you guys all attacked me.
And I want to make one more point. This is not like you like to give me and now Wyatt crap about Derek Carr and how he got to the playoffs like 2 or 3 times, but
It's been the playoffs once.
his Raiders teams had nowhere near the talent that Justin Herbert has had the last 3 years. Nowhere near the talent.
Actually, Derek Carr's never played in a playoff game. The one year he did make the playoffs, he got hurt.
He did. He played against the Bengals 2 years ago.
Okay, he's played one game in the playoffs. Then.
Fucking some
Right,
fan you are.
Yeah, just
Well, I
as
don't-
much as Justin Herbert with half the talent that he had.
Yeah, no shit. All right, moving on. The last game that isn't our team or a primetime game. Packers-Bears, 38-20 Green Bay. Jordan Love looked pretty damn good. 15 for 27, 245, and 3 tuds. Aaron Jones capped one off on the ground. He averaged 4.6 yards per carry and did pretty well. Something to note here. A.J. Dillon ran the ball 13 times and averaged 1.5 yards a carry. I don't think that's ideal. Probably just the fact of you see A.J. Dillon in the game, it's going in between the tackles. More than likely, you're going to stack the box. But pretty solid game. Jones led in rushing and receiving yards, but also got hurt. But they also didn't have Christian Watson, so that's also a factor. Justin Fields looked not very good, 24 for 37, 216 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. He also led the team in rushing, which
Surprise.
is not ideal. Again, like I said, I feel like if you're a team and your quarterback's leading your team in rushing, that's not good. Because unless they're just all designed runs, that means your offensive line isn't blocking very good, and that means that your running backs aren't very effective either. Khalil Herbert only averaged 3 yards a carry. That Johnson guy, he had a touchdown, but it wasn't very much besides Darnell Mooney in the past game, who had 53 yards and a touchdown. So this team is a lot of people I feel had a lot of unrealistic expectations for the Bears coming into the season for no reason, to be honest. I didn't really understand all the hype that was going on, but me being a Saints fan hyped about Derek Carr, I understood it. Like you want to have confidence in your quarterback, but he hasn't really proved a whole lot, and he failed to prove any more this game. But Jordan Love, on the other hand, proved a lot. And if he continues to play this way, Packers fans are going to be saying, I told you so all over again. And the Packers front office is going to look like fucking geniuses because they've now went from Favre to Rodgers to Love potentially. So, thoughts?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is Logan and Jake, if you're watching, I apologize for what I'm about to say. I don't criticize you for ever picking your teams in our picks because I do the same thing every week, so I understand. But I am disappointed in myself for picking the Bears to win this game because I didn't think that they were going to be great. I thought they may win 5 or 6 games, maybe. That was my expectations, but I thought they'd win this game because I still don't think the Packers are some elite team. I don't think they're some elite offense. I just think the Bears are that bad. And Justin Fields in this game still showed it might have been, the play calling. I don't know. That Logan was saying that there was a lot of screen passes going on. But from what I've seen, there was no urgency to push the ball down the field. He's got a shiny new toy in DJ Moore who likes to get down the field. He's a vertical threat. So Justin Fields has got to take that next step in pushing the ball down the field. That way it can open up his runs, or Caleb Williams is going to be the quarterback for the Bears next year.
Yeah, a lot of that I feel is scheme and just coaching. I think I saw the chart where they put on Twitter where it shows like where he targeted and all that fun stuff, and there weren't many past like 15 yards at all. If we're being honest, Justin Fields is a very exciting player because he can run and he can pass a little bit from what we've seen in his career, but he does get a little too much hype, and it is from the Bears fans. And like if he was my quarterback, I'd be in the same boat. But I feel like coaching isn't letting him at least show the world that he can do it or can't do it. There's kind of like shielding him, and I feel like protecting him with these little short passes. But at the end of the day, all you're doing is hurting him because fans are going to turn him quick, especially if things don't go his way. I do think both these teams are pretty bad. But it's the NFC, anything can happen because everybody else is also bad.
All right. So, moving forward, we can go ahead and talk about the Cowboys game if you want to. It was a blowout. Anybody have anything else to say about the game?
Giants suck.
Let's hear Wyatt's opinion on Brian Daboll and the Giants.
Bad game. They were completely just not ready for it. It was a complete whatever their game plan was just not enough to do anything. And the Cowboys showed every single flaw in the Giants roster at once. Do I think the Giants are going to go out there and lose 40-0 every week? No. Do I think that team probably exposed a lot to that team and the coaching staff? Yes. So it was embarrassing. Giants are not the team that I was hyping them up to be. And I will admit that I was wrong.
So Brian Daboll is going to win Coach of the Year, right?
No, that would be Dennis Allen.
Okay. You barely beat the Titans. And
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right,
let's not talk about my
game.
fucking team yet. We'll talk about your fucking team first.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about the Raiders. And then we'll talk about the Saints last.
My team. Wow.
Yeah. Chase.
You guys were throwing the 1 o'clock window because you guys are ass. We got put in the 4 o'clock because we're good.
I didn't watch that shit. I was napping.
Get used to that one.
That's fully based on what part of the country you're playing in. But yeah, we'll go with what Chase said.
Besides the point, we got the late window. Anyway, the Eagles beat the Patriots 25-20. A lot of people are freaking out. I'm not. Technically it's like a preseason game, and everybody's knocking off the rust. Everybody was trying to get in the rhythm. The only issue is we have a new offensive coordinator who I don't believe has called plays at the NFL level yet until, of course, Sunday. And he came out the gate super passive, like incredibly passive. And it's not something that Eagles fans have been used to, because in the past we treat the game like it's Madden. If it's 3rd and 16, we're trying to get all 16. We're not trying to, do a little halfback draw and make up some ground. We're trying to go for it all. If it's 4th and, anything, we're going for it. We weren't doing it. Kenneth Gainwell got all the touches, it felt like. DeAndre Swift had 1 touch. That's our shiny new toy. We gotta let it happen, We can't be giving all the handoffs to Kenneth Gainwell, who at best is like a a change of pace back in my opinion, or like a short yardage back. He's not some feature back, and he will never be that. And I hate saying that because I like Kenneth Gainwell, but we got DeAndre Swift, who is by far and away the best running back we have on the roster. And then the second best one, in my opinion, was a healthy scratch. Why are we putting?
He fucking loves Kenneth Gainwell. Apparently,
well,
they must think differently. There's no way your best back gets one touch.
I don't know what's going on, but I know they trust him, and maybe they're trying to play it safe for Brian Johnson's first game calling plays. Defensively, we got exposed because we don't have great coverage from our linebackers, and it's something we haven't had in a long time. But they got exposed. And at the end of the game, we lost James Bradbury. He's in concussion protocol, so that's nice. And then who else did we lose? We lost our linebacker, Nakobe Dean. He's on IR because he hurt his foot. But yeah, we won. Kind of got bailed out towards the end because what's his name? Kayshon Boutte. Is that his name?
Yep, Boutte.
He doesn't know the NFL rules. He had 2 or 3 catches where he got 1 foot in, just forgot about the second foot, and that's what happened at the end there. But overall, Eagles fans are kind of freaking out. I'm not. Like on a scale of 1 to 10 of how worried I am, 10 being freaking out, I'm like at a 2. Hopefully Thursday, Jalen can get comfortable and he can kind of do what he does best, which is push the ball downfield. But we're okay.
All right, Kendall. Raiders.
Oh, I had something to comment about the Eagles first.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
I have nothing to comment about the Eagles.
The conditions were like raining, right? It was raining pretty good.
For the first half, yeah.
Okay. Well, conditions were bad first half. Anytime there's conditions playing a factor, I don't care what anybody says, that's going to make the game closer. It always bridges the gap between teams, and it comes down to who can actually protect the ball through the rain, through the slipperiness the best. And the Eagles got a pick 6, and that is, in my opinion, what ultimately was the difference in this game.
And I will say this: Darius Slay got a gift with that pick, but he's one of the few guys in the NFL that I feel like could have returned that for a touchdown. He is great in open field, and if he was a wide receiver and he was younger, he would be a great return man, and he'd be great as a wide receiver too. But unfortunately, he's 32 years old. He's not changing positions, but good on him. He's elite, and Justin Jefferson, good luck next week.
All right, Kendall. The Raiders.
Okay,
Take a win over the Broncos.
So the Broncos watched this
right.
The Broncos watched this podcast because they heard me say that Josh Jacobs owns them, because he does. And that was their entire game plan, was to stop Josh Jacobs. And they did until the fourth quarter. Josh Jacobs would go 3-3-4 first down. What you need to do at the end of the game to hold a lead and run out some clock. So they stacked the box. They had Justin Simmons shaded to Devontae every single play. The key matchup was Tay versus Surtain. Surtain was following him the whole game, it felt like. And I think Tay ended with 6 catches for 67 yards or something like that. So that's the least amount of yards Surtain has held Tay, but that's still an okay day. Still a solid day, so can't say who won that matchup. But the Raiders won the game, and we're 1-0, and I'm not going to get my hopes up. So Jimmy G made a play when it mattered, scrambled to get a first down, take a knee to end the game. That's all you can ask from a game manager. So on to Buffalo.
All right, so finally, before we talk about Monday night, we got my game, Saints-Titans. Barely called it out. I know a lot of people will say that we suck because we barely beat the Titans, but I think we more so kept ourselves. We hindered ourselves to keep it close. If we played this game 3 weeks from now, we'd win by 40. The reason I say that is because it seemed like there were some ref missed calls on both sides for both teams. The Titans one was very drastic with the whole fumble situation, and then them not even calling it a fumble. It was a fumble. You're hearing that from me. Derek Carr looked pretty solid. I know he had the pick, but honestly, his one interception was him trying to force the ball downfield late in the first half, trying to make something happen, and he just missed the throw, and it was a pick. But that's a pick that I'll live with early on. I think a lot of people fail to realize how complicated the Saints' offense is. Most of the time when Derek gets a play call in, it's 3 plays stringed in one, and he has to make the check on which play he wants to run. Drew Brees has talked about how complicated that offense has been under Sean Payton, and it's the same under Pete Carmichael. So as a first-week quarterback in a new system, he played pretty well. My biggest concern on the offensive side of the ball is our inability to run because Kendre Miller was out. So Tony Jones Jr. was our backup, and Jamal Williams was the starter. And Jamal Williams is not a great starting option in our offense. You need someone like Calvin or Kendre to change the pace, and we really couldn't do that with Jamal. So we kind of struggled when we threw the ball a lot more than we probably will going forward. The defense looked great. Picked Tannehill off 3 times. We got in the backfield, sacked him a couple times. The defense looked absolutely fantastic. I have nothing more to say about the defense. The special teams was horrendous. Rashid Shaheed, dude, I know he's a Pro Bowl return man, but golly, the new rules allow you to call fair catch and get to the 25. He did not do that one time. And he almost fumbled twice. He fumbled once, and he almost fumbled again. So it was just really – it's going to be interesting to see how that changes going forward. Shout out to the rookie kicker, Blake Group. He hit all 3 of his kicks for a rookie in the NFL. I'll take that because a lot of people were worried when we traded Will Lutz away to Denver that we'd regret it, and one weekend we don't.
Good job. Go team.
DC played good.
Yep. He'll only hopefully get better. All right. So last game of the week, we have Buffalo Jets. I'll say my piece just so I can get out of the way because I'm going to be honest. After Aaron got hurt, I watched one more drive and I turned the game off. Now, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have because it went to overtime and ended up being a pretty exciting game. But I was not wanting to watch it after that happened. It sucks. Injuries suck, especially an injury like that. When it happened, I didn't think it was that severe. I saw the walking boot and thought the worst, but when they came back and said the x-ray was negative, I thought, okay, it's probably a high ankle sprain. He'll be out like 4 to 5 weeks and he'll be back. But unfortunately, it was the Achilles. Bills win. It's kind of funny to think, I don't think anybody really, or Jets win, my bad. I don't think anybody's really talking about the fact that the Jets did win and in the fashion that they did, or that the Bills struggled to beat the Jets, even after Aaron got hurt, more than just everyone's talking about Aaron got hurt. I haven't heard anything about the actual game itself today other than Aaron Rodgers got hurt. So at the end of the day, Bills didn't play good. I think it's week 1 jitters for Allen, just like it was for Joe Burrow. I don't think Josh Allen's going to continue to play like that. That's all I got.
I do think Josh Allen's going to continue to play like that because right before the game they showed a stat. I think it's first 4 years. He has the most picks in NFL history in his first 3 or 4 years as starting quarterback. So he's kind of known for this. And
he's a gunslinger, man.
If you remember, at the end of last year, he supposedly had that injury, but he fell off, and he fell off pretty hard. So I think he's starting to be.
Supposedly?
Yeah.
Motherfucker had Tommy John. There's no supposedly that.
That's supposedly, but
oh my God.
I legit think Josh Allen is declining, and it's not like he's old. I think he's just, I don't know. I guess he was on a hot streak for like a year or two, and it's
okay.
It's just on
we're clipping this shit
down.
In 6 weeks when it's totally different. I'm gonna remember you saying he's cooked.
I'm talking about his turnovers. I think he'll lead the league in picks again this year. I really do, and we'll come back to it because history shows that it agrees with me because he's thrown the most picks of any starting quarterback in his first 3 or 4 years starting.
Did he lead the league in picks last year? Because I don't think he did. I think Dak did.
It was well, still Josh Allen has the most picks in the first 3 or 4 years as a starting quarterback. That's what they showed before the game. So I think he'll lead the league in picks this year. And the Jets defense is legit, and I think both can be true. I think the Jets will continue to play good defense. They'll continue to work Brees Hall more and more, and I think they're going to be okay. I think their Super Bowl hopes are out the window, obviously, but I still think that they can. If they can make the playoffs, they could be a team that can run the ball and play defense, and they could upset somebody. So
Okay, let me ask this question to the two of y'all because I think it's a be interesting answer. What? Okay, take all 31 other starters in the league, right? Besides Zach Wilson. Okay, how good of a quarterback would Zach Wilson have to compare to in order for the Jets to be Super Bowl contenders? Where would he have to fall? Who would he have to comp to? Would he have to be Kirk? Would he have to be Brock Purdy? Would he have to be like how high up the list does he have to truly be in order for them to compete?
I honestly think the Jets, if you look at their roster and you compare it to the 49ers, I think they're very similar. They got a bunch of weapons. The Jets are just younger. They have a bunch of weapons and very good defense. Their names aren't as big as the 49ers yet. So if he can play to a Jimmy G level, how he has for years, then I still think they would have hope. But I do not think that that's going to happen. I don't think Zach Wilson's good.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's Zach Wilson, and I feel like we already know what we're going to get with Zach Wilson. I don't feel like he's going to get better. He will have Aaron Rodgers in his ear, I'm assuming, all year, so he may get a little bit better, but I don't know. I think we know what we have with Zach Wilson. It sucks because this team is very talented, and there was a lot of hype going into this year because obviously they were on Hard Knocks. You got to kind of get to know them, and like the first episode, everybody's like, "I can't believe we have this guy on our team." You don't get many opportunities with a guy like this on your team. Now that guy on that team, he's gone. So it's Zach Wilson, and I don't think they'll make the playoffs. That's my prediction. I don't think they will.
Not in that division.
No, I believe in everybody but Zach Wilson, and I don't think Zach Wilson can even lead them to the point of making like a wild card spot. But I will say this: I want to talk about the injury itself. I didn't know that was Achilles. I heard like the rumor last night. I went to bed around like the third quarter. I woke up and I saw that other angle of the injury. And so at first, when you first see it live on like the way that ESPN was showing it, it looked like it was just a sprained ankle. But then you see that other angle and you see it like snap in his calf. You're like, oh, there it is right there, And it sucks because I think this is the end of the road for Aaron Rodgers because he's older, and an Achilles injury takes a lot of time to like rehab, and I just don't see him coming back from it. But I feel bad for the Jets fans because, man, can you imagine getting a shiny new toy, like Super Bowl expectations, and then 2-3 plays into the game, it's gone?
The energy in that stadium pregame was legit.
Him coming out of the freaking tunnel with the American flag, that was nuts.
Yeah,
I was like, man, this is insane. And then he lasted 4 plays.
Yep.
All right. So
it's a nice highlight tape, though.
Yeah, that's the only the Jets highlights for the season. It's just going to be Aaron coming out of the tunnel.
I seen that TikTok.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on into the final segment of the show, our NFL power rankings. Oh, we still gotta. Let's just predict the Thursday night game real quick. I'll go first. Vikings can't run the ball worth a shit. Eagles defense can stop the run, so they're going to be even less effective. Meaning they'll have to throw the ball a lot. If you keep Justin Jefferson from going for like 250 yards, I think you win the game. So I got the Eagles.
Yeah, I think if anybody watched Monday Night Football early in the year when these two teams matched up, I see a very similar outcome. Kirk Cousins sucks in prime time, and he has shown nothing to say otherwise. So I think the Eagles have a big bounce back. Hopefully, it ain't raining, and I think they put up a lot of points and hold the Vikings to little points.
Is it at the
And
link or is it at? Okay.
yeah, it's at Philly, and I think my bold prediction. I guess you could say this is bold because everybody loves him for some reason, just because he gritties. Justin Jefferson continues this narrative of not being able to beat elite corners, and he is under. We'll go 30 yards, under 30 yards.
Damn. That'd be awesome.
That is definitely a bold prediction.
That'd be
Jair
awesome.
Alexander's done it. Why can't Darius Slay?
Got a point. Yep. Gosh, damn it, he's going to do it.
One missed tackle, he's got 30 yards. I mean, golly.
No, I'm saying it under 30.
Okay. Chase.
So if you are a fan of football and you have time Thursday, tune into it and watch Jalen Carter, man. Jalen Carter is must see TV when he's on the field. There's a lot of hype behind him, and rightfully so. He was whooping some ass out there last Sunday, and he finally got a sack. But if you have a chance, go watch him. It's fun. It's fun to watch. As far as predictions go, I do think this is where I like. So we played Sunday. We played at like ass, like to our standards, I guess. We fast forward to 4 days later, we got another game. I feel like this is that game where we're like, we got to right our wrongs and we blow them out. That's my feeling. That's what I hope happens. So my prediction is the Eagles, and I'm guessing it's somewhere like 38 to like 13, something like that.
I'm going same neighborhood for score. I agree with Chase.
I'll go 35-21.
That's fair.
All right. So, moving on, power rankings. Chase, let's just keep it with you. NFC power rankings. Let's see it.
All right. Just like last week, the way I do my power rankings this first week is if you lost, you're on the bottom half. If you won, you're up here. So if you won, guess what? Like besides the top three, the rest of them could be in any order. It doesn't matter. But here's my order. So dead last got the Cardinals for obvious reasons. Got the Giants because they're hot ass. Got the Panthers. I got the Bears, the Vikings, and the Seahawks. So that's 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Top 10, got the Commanders because they won, but they beat the Cardinals. I got the Bucks next because they won, but they beat the Vikings, who I think are bad. And they're still the Bucks, so they're still a bad team. Got the Rams, same reason. They're bad, but they won against probably a bad Seahawks team. The Saints, who beat a bad Titans team, who were also a bad team. The Falcons, who are a bad team, who also beat a bad team. The Packers.
You got the Falcons over us? Jesus.
Yeah. You guys are all bad. The Packers, who are a bad team, maybe like a decent team, actually, who beat a bad team in the Bears. The Lions. Here's where it gets interesting. The Lions, number 4, they beat a good team. Good on you, Lions. I feel like you guys could definitely make some noise. Then I got the Cowboys, 49ers, Eagles, because that's how I had it in the beginning, and it's not going to change until give it like week 3, and then I can start kind of going in depth and then moving it around. But I think the Cowboys beat a really bad Giants team. Sometimes those games happen just because, like, sometimes you get like division game blowouts. It's happened before. It's happened to us. It's happened to the Cowboys. It's happened to the Giants. It just happens. The 49ers, I feel like beat a pretty bad Steelers team. So, whatever. That's my top 10 or top 16, I guess, for the NFC. And it will change next week, hopefully. But yeah.
All right, Kendall.
Okay, I'm making one change to mine.
Raiders are up top, baby.
If I was, I guess you could clown me for being not a true fan if that's what you want to say, if you want to joke. But
The Chiefs are
No,
16. Say it.
Chiefs are ass. How about that?
There you go.
No, other than the bottom 4, those stay the same. There was a massive switch up, and it's just because power rankings supposed to be fluid, week to week. So Colts are last. Texans are 15. They both lost, so I'm going to keep them right there. Broncos 14, Patriots 13, and then here's Titans 12, Sorry. So Titans are 12, and then from 11 up, I had a big shakeup. So 11, I got Steelers because they laid an egg. I think they'll be okay. I think they could still find a way to compete for a wild card somehow because Mike Tomlin just does that. 10, I have the Chargers. They lost in a shootout, but I'm still going to move them down because they continue to just keep losing close games. That's just what they do. So right above them at 9, that's where I put the Raiders. 8, I have the Bills, and the Raiders and Bills play next week. So, the trend of me saying I'm not going to get my hopes up seems to work. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to keep the Bills above the Raiders, and hopefully it works out again. 7, Browns. This team is better than I think people are expecting, and Chase called it last week. And no Kareem Hunt equals more touches for Nick Chubb, and that equals more success, in my opinion. So,
Can the Saints sign fucking Kareem Hunt already? Golly. I fucking need his ass. He's just sitting on the fucking sidewalk.
So, any given Sunday, Browns could beat somebody. 6, Ravens. I take that back. I'm switching one more. 6, I'm going to put the Bengals because they lost. Okay, I'm going to move the Ravens top 5 just because they won. So I'm going to switch that. So Bengals 6, Ravens 5. 4 is where I put the Chiefs, even though I hate them. Fuck them. 3, I have the Jets. And I will say, if Rodgers didn't get hurt, they might have been my number 1 team in the AFC just after week 1, But they lost their big shiny new toy, like Chase said. 2, I have the Jags. That's my Super Bowl pick, so everybody knows I'm high on them. And number 1, I got the Dolphins for exactly what I said. They seem to rally around Tua, and every time he's on the field, this offense is explosive, and they're 1-0, unlike these AFC contenders like the Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills. So that rounds out my AFC power rankings.
All right. So Watt's top 10 power rankings this week. So just some of the rationale before I get into it. I took last week's rankings into account with this week's performances to kind of get where I'm at. So even if a team did lose, if they were towards the top, I wasn't just going to drop them out of the top 10 altogether. Except for one team. And they won this week. The Jets are not my top 10 this week. They don't have Aaron Rodgers. Therefore, I think there are 10 teams better than them in the league. But I will give them an honorable mention alongside with the Browns. The Browns aren't in my top 10 this week either, but I think based with the performance this week, if the Bengals continue to struggle and the Browns win next week, they very well could jump up into my top 10. But last week, number 10, I had the Jaguars. This week, I have the Bengals. Rough loss. Is it a fluke? Is it not? We'll see. Until then, I think the rest of these teams played a little bit better. Number 9, last week I had the Dolphins. This week I have the Ravens. Decent win. They still moved down a slot, though, because I put the Jaguars at number 8, where the Ravens were last week. Convincing win. They look solid. I am interested to see how they do. This week, at number 7, I have the Bills, who I had at number 3 last week. They take a significant hit after the loss to the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. I think for me that dignifies – I'm not undervaluing the Bills, but I am showing that loss was important. So I did drop them down 4 slots. Number 6 this week, I have the Chargers, who were not in my top 10 last week. They played a good game against a good defense. When you score 30-plus points on Jalen Ramsey, I know they ran the ball a lot. I know they lost. And I know Justin Herbert has question marks all around him. But out of this week, they played some of the best ball out of most teams. They were one of the better prepared teams.
You say Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey plays for the Dolphins, right?
He's out until December.
Oh, never mind. Still, Bradley Chubb's on that team. Christian Wilkins is on that team. Moving forward, we have the Dolphins at number 5. They beat Chargers. They were number 9 last week. They move up to number 5. They showed a really good game, and I think they're deserving of that move. Number 4, I have the Cowboys, who I had at 6 last week. They did win big, but again, a 40-point win on a rainy night the first week of the season. I'm not going to crown you Super Bowl champions yet, no matter how much Cowboys fans want to say they are.
Welcome.
Number 3, I have the Chiefs, who I had number 1 last week. They lost to the Lions, but they're still the Chiefs, so I have them dropping 2 spots. Because for number 2, I have the Eagles staying where they are at, and then I have the 49ers jumping from 4 to 1.
Oh, bull fucking shit.
So, just to recap, I have 1 Niners, 2 Eagles, 3 Chiefs, 4 Cowboys, 5 Dolphins, 6 Chargers, 7 Bills, 8 Jags, 9 Ravens, and the Bengals at 10.
That's ass. What?
You'll barely beat the Patriots. You want me to name you the number 1 team in the league?
Yeah. I do.
I mean, that's fair. I respect it. I respect the passion.
Very passionate.
I will say this:
Where are the Raiders at?
if I had to rank them like mid-teens, or right around where the Saints are,
Where the Broncos at?
bottom 7 probably.
Oh, so your Super Bowl prediction, you're regretting that?
Hey, I already said that shit was wrong.
Okay.
Where?
It's gonna be Saints, like Saints, Chiefs, Saints, Dolphins, some shit like that. Saints are making it out of the NFC. That's the only thing you need to take from my Super Bowl prediction. We're 1-0. We're on pace for 17-0. So
Okay. Who you guys have next week?
we have Carolina on Monday night.
That's a loss. Bryce Young about to light your ass up.
Oh,
Have you seen our defense?
Don't care.
Bryce Young's going to get folded
Have you seen your offense?
Yeah, it wasn't even that bad. Special teams was the worst part.
their offense did pretty good. Special teams.
Doesn't matter your team's ass. First round.
Michael Thomas is going to be ineffective because J.C. Horn will be on him, but as long as Brian Burns doesn't burn us for fucking 4 sacks, I think we'll be okay.
Do you guys play the Cardinals?
No.
You're lucky.
The main divisions we play this year are the NFC North and AFC South.
I hope the Bears are going to whoop your ass.
Week 8, I have it marked on my calendar.
You might lose to the Bears, the Lions, and the Packers, and the Vikings. That's 4 losses right there.
I think that's 3 wins and a loss, probably.
I think that's three wins and a loss.
I think the same thing with the AFC South. I think we beat every team not named Jacksonville.
That's saying something. Yeah,
no. We already beat one.
You just
got to beat 2 more.
Texans
and the Colts.
the bottom 2 teams in my AFC power rankings.
I'm actually afraid of the Colts a little bit. We're not very good with mobile quarterbacks. I think Anthony Richardson could run for like 200 yards on us in some freak ass game. But all right, that's the episode, boys. Appreciate everybody tuning in, especially if you made it to this point. Make sure to like the video, share it, get some more people to come watch us and hear what we talk about. Chase, what the fuck was that? He just like kissed your mic really
What in the world was that?
But we will see you on. We're going to record again on Friday. Probably be out by Saturday with our predictions for week 2. So be on the lookout for that, and we will see you on the flip. Go Saints.
Raider Nation.
Hey, go Birds.